If we were to take all the distributions that we've looked at in this series so far and compare them to the top 10 distributions on DistroWatch, we'd see that we've actually covered 9 out of 10 of them so far. But what about that last outstanding distribution? Well, previously we've mentioned that lots of distributions are built off of foundations. Arch is the foundation that distributions like Steam OS and CachyOS are based off of. Fedora is the foundation for distributions like Bazzite and Nobara, but Debian is the foundation for a lot of distributions and arguably probably the most famous foundation for other distributions. But what happens if you want to have the most minimalist experience possible, meaning that you don't want too many extra bells and whistles, you just want to cut down to the bare necessities? Minimalistic designs is certainly something that resonates with this channel too, but just how minimalist are we talking here? There's a difference between minimalist and not very functional at all. And considering this entire series is about how beginners might interpret this, is the minimalist approach here going to be beginner friendly? Most importantly, are we going to need to use a terminal to do anything? Because beginners wouldn't need to use terminal on Windows, so they shouldn't need to use it on a distribution that's designed to be easy to use for them. Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's go and download Debian, install Steam, and see if we can get a game up and running while implementing the no terminal challenge. Starting in your browser, let's go and download Debian. We search for Debian, we open the website, and there's no cookies notice here and a big clear download button on the front page. We're off to a great start, and even better, when we actually click the download button, it just downloads the distro for us. There's no need to go to another download page, which wouldn't be a bad thing for any other distro that has a separate download page, but it is just a nice little optimization. Speaking of minimalism, take a look at the size of this ISO file. Here are some other ISOs that we've looked at before for other distributions. Compared to all of them, this thing is really tiny. That could mean one of two things. The worst case scenario is that Debian needs to download a lot of stuff from the internet, which means it wouldn't be very offline friendly. Or the other scenario is that it is very, very bare bones. So we drag this ISO file onto our Ventoy USB, restart our PC, boot into the USB with Ventoy, and then boot up Debian. So far, the process has been exactly the same as just about any other distribution, but once we get started, you'll notice that things feel a little different. This installer has a very old school look to it. The types of questions and even the wording feel as if it was pulled straight out of a 1999 Windows installation. What does that really mean? This really wouldn't be a great experience for beginners, as some of the questions would confuse them. Clicking next on the fields you're not sure about and leaving them blank does work most of the time, only filling out the name and password as requested. But you can imagine someone already wanting to run back to an operating system where they understand all the questions being asked of them. We've seen other distributions with one too many pages for installation, but Debian certainly takes the cake here. It would be very interesting to know how many people actually use all of these extra customizations, especially seeing as this is a top 10 ranking distribution. Perhaps advanced users would use them? We do eventually get the option to pick our desktop environment, but we're going to stick with the default here to see how Debian likes to present itself. So GNOME it is. Then we finally get some sort of wording suggesting that we're finishing up, and that was certainly one of the most grueling installation experiences we've had in this series so far. Although once we've restarted our PC and booted into Debian, things do look a lot better. We have an option to take a tour, which will just inform you of some basic functionality of GNOME more than Debian. Once that's done, we've got a basic GNOME desktop environment, and we'll start with our usual stops as we normally do, scaling and dark mode. Clicking on the top right corner, we'll find where our Wi-Fi and Bluetooth settings would be, but this motherboard doesn't have either. So we'll click on the settings cogwheel. Scaling is under display, where you can adjust your scaling for higher resolution displays. 200% for 4K is recommended. Then we'll head over to appearance and select dark mode so we're not getting flashbanged every single time we open a program. Have you noticed a slight difference though? There's no minimize or maximize buttons. To get them, we'll need to close settings and head elsewhere. Click on the top left corner. You'll see the dock appear along with an option to switch workspaces, but unfortunately the dock doesn't appear by itself when you drag your mouse to the bottom of the screen. This is a default GNOME setting though, not something specific to Debian. Now click on the icon on the far right of the dock and we'll have our macOS-like grid of applications. Over in the System folder, we'll click on Tweaks, then head to the Windows section and enable Minimize and Maximize. This is also a default behavior of GNOME, so it's not entirely Debian. But if we compare this to another Debian-based distribution that was originally using GNOME, Pop! OS 22.04 put these toggles in the main settings menu. They also had the dock appear when you moved your mouse to the bottom of the screen if you didn't have the dock set to just always appear. Moving on, let's head over to the GNOME Software Center to get our system updates. Apparently, we're all up to date, which means that the installer likely did need internet access, so it's time to get gaming. We'll search for Steam, but nothing comes up. Perhaps we need to enable other repositories to get it? Unfortunately, there's only one repository to enable, and it doesn't have Steam. So let's see what happens when we do things the old-fashioned way, seeing as the installer was old-fashioned too. Closing the Software Center, we'll open up Firefox and go directly to Steam's website to download it from there. A few clicks later, and we'll be downloading a .deb file, which stands for Debian, and this .deb file will work on any distribution based off of Debian. Double-clicking on the file brings the Software Center back up to confirm installation, but unfortunately, opening Steam will have Debian bring up a terminal. And it's not a terminal that just opens momentarily and closes. That's fine, that won't fail the no terminal challenge. But this is a terminal that we have to interact with, and it would be a roadblock for beginners. So Debian has failed the no terminal challenge. So given that this was not the easiest distribution to install, and we needed a terminal just to install Steam, why is this in a top 10 position? It could be that developers are always downloading Debian to test out their own distributions based off of Debian, and it could be that there are advanced users who prefer having so many things to tweak from a minimalist point of view. Remember, advanced users have often been in the Linux community for a lot longer than all these beginners that have started fleeing from Windows. So if neither of those things sound like you, then perhaps it would be better to stay away from Debian, as it's not very beginner friendly, and look at some Debian-based distributions. Some examples include Mint, Pop! OS, Tuxedo OS, and MX Linux, and we've looked at those on this channel. They have a much more beginner-friendly installation, and they can get Steam up and running with no terminal required. So if you've heard about how stable Debian is, and you're looking for your next operating system to get away from Windows, then try any of these Debian-based operating systems.